everyone for the today's webinar meeting on behalf of Anjali Yoshida Study Circle team. Myself, CA Amish Sangoi, conveyor of Anjali Yoshida Study Circle and Deputy Conveyor CA Deepak Mandecha. Today we are having a topic on a new topic on MSME, professional opportunities. So we had today a speaker, CA Subhash Kedia ji. I request CA Rajesh Poddar ji to kindly introduce today's speaker.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Good evening, friends and seniors in the profession. Subhash Kedia has secured 41st rank in CA final exams and has also passed DISA ICA conducted by ICAI. He is a senior partner of Messrs. B.N. Kedia and Company Chartered Accountants since April 1985. He is involved in managing statutory audits, internal audits, taxation, ROC matters, loan syndication, and consultancy on foreign investments and FDI. He was a convener of Borivali Kandivali East CPE Study Circle of WIRC for 2 consecutive terms of 2008-9 and 9-10. This study circle was awarded the best study circle by WIRC for the first time in its history in the medium and small category for the year 8-9 and also for the year 9-10. The membership of this study circle has risen multifold during his leadership within a span of just 1 year and increasing day by day. Subhash Kedia has been president of Rotary Club of Bombay Kandivali for the year 9-10. Rotary Club is a social service organization committed for the growth of the nation and alleviation of polio, hunger and poverty. He has also taken several measures to combat global warming, including installation of solar-powered street lights in villages and in remote areas. Subhash Kedia is a regular speaker on various topics such as FDI, direct tax, budget analysis, and today on MSME. He is a vice president of Sri Hari Satsang Samiti, an organization for the development of tribals. He is also office bearer at Rajasthani Seva Sangh, Sri Khed Shakti Dham Samiti, and All India Organization, Sri Kedia Sabha, Mumbai. Subhash Kedia is a member of Direct Tax Committee of WIRC, BCA, Bombay Chartered Accountant Association, Chamber of Tax Consultant, Indian Merchant Chamber, Forum of Tax Consultant. Friends, we are indeed proud to have such an experienced faculty for today's seminar on professional opportunities in MSME sectors among such tough COVID situations. Thank you and we welcome you, sir. Amish, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Rajesh ji, for the wonderful introduction. It was really...
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, friends. And good evening to CA Amish Sangoi, convener of the study circle, CA Deepak Mandecha, deputy convener of study circle, and my esteemed fellow professional friends. It is my proud privilege to present you before you the MSME and professional opportunity, because MSME is a very big basket wherein lot of services and lot of SSCs and industries are covered. And we are, in fact, we are serving to MSMEs. Day in, day out, we are serving to MSMEs. And maybe more than 90% of us chartered accountants are serving to MSMEs. And other way around also, maybe we can think that more than 90% of our revenue comes from MSME segment as well. So it is really very important to know what MSME provisions are there, what benefits have been given during this pandemic, this coronavirus situation, and how we can utilize that to the best of our client's requirement. So that is more needed. So before getting the professional opportunity out in MSME segment, then we must know the nitty-gritty of the MSMEs. What are the provisions, what are the requirements, and what are the conditions which if we fulfill that, and if we can help our clients to complete that, then the client will get benefited. So friends, MSME. So friends, MSME is in fact the nursery of entrepreneurship, contributing substantially to the GDP, manufacturing output, exports, as well as the highest generator of employment. you will not understand that more than 12 crore of people are working directly in MSME. So we can say that, say, including their family members, some 30-40 crores of people are depending on MSMEs. And even the other segments other than MSMEs are also somewhere connected to the MSME. This sector, in fact, has been receiving the constant attention from the government because of the vast involvement of the entrepreneurs, be it central government or state government, to encourage, in fact, more and more people into the MSME segment. And so that the contribution to the growth of the country can be increased of MSME segment. And in recent times also, during this pandemic situation, when the COVID is there, the government has come out various schemes and facilities and benefits for, especially for MSMEs. So those need to be understood in a proper way so that we can help our clients to achieve that and get maximum benefits to them. Friends, MSME sector provides various range of services, wide range of services, and as well it is in the manufacturing activities, and we will be surprised to know that more than 6,000 products are being manufactured or produced by MSME segment itself. And those manufacturing items are maybe traditional items or high-tech items as well. And MSME, India's MSME is second largest in the world, just after China.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. We'll share in the screen.
Yeah,
Or
we'll share.
Okay, okay. Thanks.
We'll share. So, friends, with the government's the Make in India push, wherein government wants more and more FDI, attracting FDI from overseas, so that Indian industries can poised for a more better growth. So MSME is the biggest contributor in that field as well. So friends, I'm sharing now screen here.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Friends, what is the importance of MSME? When we are understanding something, that must have the importance. So we must understand what is the importance of MSME and what is its contribution to the growth of the country. So MSME's contribution, if we see that 6.11% of manufacturing GDP comes from MSME segment only, and 24.63% of service GDP comes from MSME. And MSME, friends, MSME generates 33.4%, whopping 1/3 of India's manufacturing output. It's a tremendous size that way, and contributes 45% of overall exports from India. So we are really on a very bigger segment of the economy. And the MSME has a consistent growth rate of 10%, because other industries might have some time seeing the growth rate of down or end up or so. But then MSME segment has a consistent growth rate of 10%. And as I earlier told, that MSME is employing close to 12.40 crores people. And friends, out of this, 14% are women-led enterprises and 60% are in rural areas. So even MSMEs, if MSME grows, our rural areas will also grow accordingly. And the sector, friends, the sector has the scope of acting as catalyst for economic growth across the geographical, social, cultural, or any type of divisions we see for the country. If we see the distribution by category of MSME, how it is distributed, because we have seen that almost 6.33 crores, 6.33 crores, 6 crore 33 lakhs are units which are coming under MSME, micro, small and medium enterprises, and how they are distributed. So out of that 6.33 crores, micro enterprises are 6.30 crores. So more than 99.4% even are micro enterprises. We will see which industries are coming into micro and what conditions we will see later on. And only 3.31 lakhs are small enterprises, that is just half a percent of the total MSME. And medium enterprises on percentage, they are nowhere coming on, because only around 5,000 entities are there which are categorized as medium enterprises. Friends, manufacturing GDP, now share in GDP is that manufacturing is 6.11%, service GDP is 24.63%, and the rest is the other than MSME. So this is the share of MSME in GDP. If we see distribution by nature of activities, so 1 crore 96 lakhs units, MSME units, are into manufacturing segment. That accounts for 31% of the total MSME. And in trading activities, 2 crore 30 lakhs are into trading activities, that accounts for 36%. And other services, the service sector, that is 2 crore 6 lakhs. 2 crore 6 lakhs are into service activities, that accounts for 33% of the total MSME. Friends, MSME could have grown to a much higher pace and higher numbers what it is now presently, but there are some hindrances, some factors which are affecting the growth of MSME. What are those factors? Those factors are availability of finance, lack of formal registration, and competitive market environment. These three factors we think that are more important for factors affecting growth of the MSME. Like if we can see that what is the debt requirement of MSME? Appetite for debt is 69 lakh crore, 70 lakh crore say. So out of that 70 lakh crore requirement for debt finance for MSME, that is the capital requirement for MSME, the capital requirement comes from informal sources up to the extent of 84%, and only 16% are fulfilled by way of formal financing system. And that again, out of that 13% are from scheduled bank, and remaining 3% are from NBFC or RRBs. Friends, lack of formal registration is also one of the very important factor. Because of the less registration or non-registration of MSME, they are not able to get the benefit which are available to MSMEs. Whatever be the reason behind non-registration, but then there are very less registration penetration of MSME in the country. Because out of 6.33 crores of MSME, total MSMEs, only registered entities are only 82 lakhs. So it counts for around 13%, 14%. So registration is much more needed for MSMEs. There is a vast opportunity for getting registration of MSMEs. Competitive market environment, friends, because what happens, MSMEs are into a much higher competition among themselves itself. Because of mostly unorganized or unregulated sector, they are competing each other. Whenever one manufacturing activity of one particular, say, supposingly yarn manufacturing is there, there are hundreds and thousands of units are there setting up for yarn manufacturing. So we have our own competition, whereas for the large organization, so competition is less because of the number of large organizations are less. They are more organized, they are more regulated. So that is why the competition is less there. What is needed? How we can overcome these three factors, these three major factors. So what is required is handholding. So handholding is required because MSMEs need support. And MSMEs, who can provide the support to MSME? That is by way of legal and regulatory support, because the government has to plan, has to come out with legal framework or regulatory support. Regulator is to be appointed for MSMEs. Government support, direct government support is needed, and financial and infrastructure support. So financial support by way of more and more capital availability to the MSMEs, and infrastructure, how they can move taking the growth to the country. We can see the numbers of registration in lakhs, During 2017-18, only 15 lakh entities were registered as MSME. In 18-19, it has gone to 21 lakhs, and in 19-20, it has gone to 25 lakhs. So, of course, some 14-15% growth is there, but then growth is much more needed. More number of registrations are required to get the benefit, various benefits announced by the government. So we must see which entities are eligible for MSMEs, because all entities are not eligible to be registered as MSME. Entities, normally enterprises engaged in manufacturing, barring a few activities where those are into negative list. So almost all activities are covered for under manufacturing to be registered as MSME. Certain activities are reserved for large scale or for into negative list. So barring those, almost all activities are covered for manufacturing, and enterprises engaged in services, that too more or less all classes of services are covered. Some classes are exceptional. We will see that. So specifically covered, what are the services covered here are consultancy services, including management services, renting of agricultural machineries, composite broker services in risk and insurance management, third-party administration, TPA services for medical claims, seed grading services, training cum incubator center, educational institutions can also be registered as MSME, training institutes, practice of law, legal services, and even we chartered accountants are also eligible for registration as MSME. Trading in medical instruments, friends, placement and management consultancy services, advertising agency and training centers, retrading of tires, infrastructure and real estate activities, power distribution services, warehouse, godown, cold storage service. These are specifically provided in the Act, but otherwise, more or less, almost all services are covered, except a few. We will see later in the next slide. Except a few, almost all services are also covered to be registered as MSME, which are specifically barred. These services are specifically barred from MSME. They cannot get registration as under MSME. That is forestry and logging, fishing and aquaculture, wholesale and retail trade. This is very important, and we must understand that any type of trading activity, be it wholesale or retail trade, this is not allowed to be registered as MSME. Activities of household as employees for domestic personnel, undifferential goods and services produced for own use, that is also not eligible for registration. Activities of extraterritorial organization. Extraterritorial means some company is having ownership somewhere out of country, and that's a branch or unit located in India, so that cannot get registered as MSME. So branch of a foreign company or unit of a foreign enterprises, that cannot get registered as MSME. It is purely meant for Indian enterprises. So recently, this definition of MSME has been revised. Earlier, it was based on investment only in plant and machinery or equipments, but there were two categories for manufacturing as well as service enterprises. Two different slab limits was there for investment. So for manufacturing, earlier it was for micro units less than 25 lakhs, for a smaller less than 5 lakhs, and for medium less than 10 crores. Sorry, 5 crores and 10 crores, less than 10 crores for medium enterprises. For service enterprises, it was less than 10 lakhs for micro, up to 2 crore, it was small units, and medium, it was up to 5 crores. Now that classification has been changed, and there is no differentiation between manufacturing and service activities. Both the type of enterprises has been placed in that same bracket. However, there is one more conditions has been attached. So instead, along with the investment condition, a criteria of turnover has also been included here. So it's a composite criteria, investment and annual turnover, and to categorize, to take the benefit of micro, small or medium, an enterprise has to fulfill the conditions of both the conditions, both. So what is the new conditions are that for getting a micro unit registered, investment has to be within 1 crore, less than 1 crore, and turnover has to be less than 5 crore. And for a small enterprises, investment up to 10 crore and in turnover up to 50 crore. And for medium enterprises, investment up to 50 crore and turnover up to 250 crores. So these are the three criteria, three conditions which are to be fulfilled to get the unit as micro or small or medium enterprises. So how the question comes, because the criteria is based on investment and turnover. So what investment should be considered, what should not be considered? That's a major criteria for. So we must understand. So investment in plant and machinery only will be considered for the purposes of MSME calculation of turnover, of investment. And investment of land, building, vehicles, furniture and fixtures, office equipment, etc. will not be considered. Only tangible assets will be considered. No intangible assets will not be considered. Calculation of investment shall be linked with income tax return for the previous year. We will discuss later on also in our next slide that how it will be linked with income tax return. But then more or less say whatever investment, whatever plant and machinery investment we are showing in our income tax return, the same will be catch up, will be taken from the income tax records, and that will be updated in the MSME Udyam site. That Udyam site is there, that we will see. And in case of new enterprises where ITR is not available, it has not filed any income tax return, so it will be taken on self-declaration basis of the proprietor or owner of the organization. And that relaxation of self-certification, self-declaration will cease when the organization files its first ITR after 31st of March. The purchase value of plant and machinery, be it first hand or second hand, both are qualified, both are eligible to be considered for investment, and that will be taken excluding of GST, because GST we are taking credit in our organization. So whatever we are showing as cost of plant and machinery, that will be considered for the purposes of investment. Now question comes for turnover also. So turnover, only domestic turnover will be considered. It's a very, very great relief given to the enterprises, because the export turnover will not be considered for the calculation of turnover criteria, because government wants that exports should be increased, so that should be encouraged. So to encourage that and to ask the entities and entrepreneurs to do more and more exports, that will not be considered for the purposes of turnover. So if supposingly, if a company is having say 55 crores of turnover, but then out of that 50 crore is the export, and only 5 crores are domestic, so it will be a micro unit, provided the investment criteria is also met. So entity-wise limit shall apply and not the location-wise. For both the purposes of investment in plant and machinery and turnover, it will not be, a company may have some, say one company is having 4 factories, 4 locations and 4 different states, and for GST return different numbers are there. So it will not be taken on the branch or location wise, it will be taken from the entity wise, from the organization wise, company wise. Calculation of turnover shall be linked with income tax return as investment. We have seen in the case of investment, in the similar way, calculation of turnover also will be linked with the income tax return, and whatever turnover we are showing in the income tax return, that will be picked up, that will be taken by the system from income tax return. And based on that, our criteria will be automatically updated also. So in case of first ITR, when the return is not filed, it will be done on self-declaration basis. So before moving forward, let us understand what are the registration benefits available to MSMEs. So friends, priority sector status is available to MSME, because what happens, the priority sector is having lot of other benefits attached to it. So priority sector status is available to MSME. Collateral-free bank loan is available up to 5 crores that we will discuss later on. Reservation policy to manufacturing and production sectors, various segments, various items or articles are reserved to be manufactured or produced by the MSME only. So no larger organizations cannot have the production of they cannot come into the venture of that item. So that is the reservation policy is there. A special consideration on international trade fairs, because to promote, to support MSMEs, some concession and some refund of trade fair participation fee and those type of support fee is there. Waiver of stamp duty and registration fee when you are putting up a plant somewhere in backward area, maybe in Maharashtra, we can consider say for Wada or Palghar, or even these areas also having some type of stamp duty and registration benefits available to on the type at the time of purchase of property or installation of. So barcode registration subsidy is available. Subsidy on credit rating is available. Whatever credit rating fees we are paying to the credit rating agency, MSMEs, they can claim refund of that. Counter guarantee from Government of India. So that is available on loans and facilities taken from banks. So counter guarantee is being given by government. Trades, a very, very wonderful platform recently introduced by the government. It's a very, that we will see later on in detail that how it functions. It's a financing and discounting of receivables platform and very much support to MSMEs by way of trades. Timely payment, it's a wonderful platform again. Timely payment, protection against delay in payments, because what happens always MSMEs were always under pressure of cash flow because of non-payment or delayed payment from the buyer. So to take care of that situation, MSME Samadhan portal has been launched, and the cases can be referred on that. We'll see later on in more detail. Reduction in rate of interest from banks by way of interest subvention or that way we'll see that interest subvention is available too. Waiver in security deposit in government contracts. So various waivers or discount or the reduced security deposits is available in case to MSMEs in case of government contract. So even the large organization, they will have to pay higher security deposit. For MSMEs, it is reduced rate. Concession in electricity bills, concession is there, that we'll see in detail. Reimbursement of ISO certification, whatever ISO certification fee is paid, so fully or partially, fully it is refundable from the government. Preference in procuring government tenders, various government organizations are keeping reserved some 25% approximately, or some organization 15%. So those items, those procurements has to be made only from MSMEs, that the tenders cannot be floated for the large organizations. 1% exemption on interest rate on OD, that is there, that facility is there. 50% subsidy on patent registration, that is available. So friends, these are some of the benefits available to MSMEs. There are certain other benefits, but then for the sake of simplicity, we have not taken all those. Registration process, if we see that registration is Aadhaar based. So how it works, we will see that how it is based on Aadhaar. So initially, first of all, that you have to log in with the number of Aadhaar, and in case of proprietorship, Aadhaar number of proprietor is required. In case of partnership, Aadhaar number of managing partner is required. In case of HUF, Aadhaar number of Karta is required. And in case of company, trust, or cooperative societies or any other entity, or Aadhaar number of authorized person is required. That authorization has to be by way of resolution passed by the organization. Now come to the registration process. Udyam is a new concept. It started from 1st of July. Earlier it was Aadhaar, Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum UAM. Now that has been replaced with Udyam, and udyamregistration.co.in is a new portal wherein the Udyam registration is being done. So altogether new system has been introduced, and it's a document free. No document are to be required. minimum details are required with the self-declaration of investment in plant and machinery and annual turnover. But then that must match with the income tax return. Self-declaration cannot be other than whatever is your actual turnover or investment in plant and machinery. Aadhaar number is mandatory. Without that, registration will not take place. If you do not have Aadhaar number, you have to first obtain it. No fees is required. It's absolutely free. No document required to be submitted or uploaded. On completion, on the fulfillment of certain these information, only basic informations are required. On fulfillment of all these requirements, a PIN shall be generated. PIN is permanent identification number. It is specifically made for MSMEs, so permanent identification number, that a PIN shall be generated, and subsequently a certificate will come. Registration certificate, PIN will be instantly generated automatically. PIN will not have any verification or anything. PIN will be generated, and you can proceed with the help of PIN only. But then certificate later on, the registration certificate will be coming after verification of the information from income tax portal and GST portal as well. And that registration certificate will have dynamic QR code. So whenever that QR code is scanned, a new web page will be opened on the portal, and all the details of the organization will be available there. So that's a very wonderful process that way. There will be no need for renewal. It's a permanent number. So no renewal is required. On completion of registration process, then we have to upload income tax return and GST returns on the Udyam site. These are the only documents which need to be uploaded because of the verification. However, the data will not be taken from here. Data will be taken directly from the site of the income tax or site of the GST. So the investment and turnover will be taken directly from the government site, government database. And whenever there is a requirement for reclassification, supposingly we have claimed as this thing, micro unit with 1 crore and 5 crore of turnover, and supposingly my investment in plant and machinery goes 1.1 crores. So that is in the income tax portal. So taking the information from there, the system will automatically upgrade me from micro to small, because I am now not eligible to be registered as micro. We will see later on in detail that thing as well. So on the basis of ITR and GST return, reclassification of categories will be done. PAN and GST, presently even without PAN number or without GST registration of Udyam, registration at Udyam is possible. But that window is available only up to 31st of March. And even those entities which are registered now without PAN and GST, they have to compulsorily, mandatorily, they have to upload PAN number, PAN and GST before 31st of March. Otherwise, failing which, what will happen that from 1st of April, their registration will get suspended. Because from 1st April to 2021, PAN number and GST is mandatory. But GST, if supposingly the unit is not required to have GST, then what happens? Then it is not needed. Because if the turnover is below 40 lakhs or 20 lakhs, as the case may be, in that case, GST registration number or GST returns are not required for that. And what about if I have already registered earlier in the old age era, like say Udyog Aadhaar, or earlier it was EM2. So if I have got registration under the previous era and previous certificate I have, but then I have to re-register. So re-registration is required under Udyam registration for all the entities. Whoever wants to claim as MSMEs, they have to get registered on Udyam, without which MSME registration will not help. Of course, those who are registered beforehand in the old system, they will continue to enjoy the benefit of registered unit till 31st of March. So they have the window for getting re-registration till 31st of March. From 1st April 2021, if they do not re-register themselves on Udyam registration, their earlier registration will also get suspended or cancelled. You cannot file more than one. You cannot have more than one Udyam registration. Like our PAN number, we cannot have more than one. In the similar fashion, you cannot have more than one Udyam registration. It is entity-wise. It's in company or entrepreneurship-wise. So we can have only one registration. Any number of activities, you can have n number of business. You have 10 businesses, say all 10 businesses or production or manufacturing or services or other activities, all can be added in one number itself. Friends, graduation and reverse graduation. So that is not like our educational graduation. There is no question of any reverse graduation, but here in MSME segment, what is graduation of MSME is that, as I told you earlier also, that supposedly I am registered as micro unit with investment up to 1 crore and turnover up to 5 crore. So earlier my investment and turnover was less than requirement for micro, and based on that I was registered as micro enterprises. But later on, either my investment has increased, has exceeded 1 crore, has exceeded the limit, whatever it is, 1 crore here, and or turnover has exceeded 5 crores. So then in that case, any one condition exceeding the limit, then it will go to the higher category, the next category. It will go to the small, or if it is a small unit, it will go to the medium. So, but what will happen? That registration or that reclassification or recategorization from micro to small or small to medium will take place only from the beginning of the next financial year. For the current financial year, wherein you were enjoying one status in one particular category, it will continue to remain in the same way. Or in case of reverse graduation, reverse graduation is the other way around. That supposingly one unit was registered as medium and its investment in plant and machinery was more than 10 crores, up to 50 crores, more than 10 crores, and turnover was more than 50 crores, but less than 250 crores. So I was say registered as medium enterprises. Now what has happened? Both my conditions have fallen down. My investment in plant and machinery has reduced less than 10 crores, and my turnover has also reduced less than 50 crores. In that case, I am eligible for reverse graduation. So earlier I was registered as medium enterprises. Now I will go as small enterprises because the benefit differs. Benefits differ from micro to small to medium. So lower the category, more are the benefits. So always people want to have in the lower category, provided their turnover and investment matches to that extent. Again, it will be applicable from the next financial year, and during that particular financial year, you will continue to remain in the category where you were earlier registered. Funding options, friend. Because this is the very, very crucial aspect for MSMEs. MSMEs are always striving for funds. And we earlier in the initial slide also we have seen that 84% of the funding requirement comes from informal sources and only 16% comes from the formal sources. So what are the funding options available for MSMEs? Owned fund. So that is the biggest and foremost. The owned fund. Owned fund is on here. Its own or his own fund or his funds from the relatives and friends and relatives, but in an informal way. Term loan from banks, NBFCs, one of the funding options available to MSMEs. Working capital finance from banks. Emergency credit line guarantee scheme. It's a new scheme introduced. We will discuss more in next slide. So emergency credit line guarantee scheme is there. Subordinate debt for stressed assets. This is also a new concept. So that we will discuss more. Collateral free credit is available to MSMEs up to 1 crore. Now it has been enhanced to 2 crores also. To collateral free credit is available to MSMEs. Liberalized working capital assessment. Again, we will discuss that how it works. Liberalized working capital is there. PSL loan. PSL is a priority sector loan. Priority sector loan because banks are under obligation, under commitment to lend to priority sector, and MSMEs are priority sector. So that MSMEs always have the preference of the banks for lending. So PSL loans are priority sector loans are from banks. Mudra loans are there. In Mudra loans there are some Sishu loan and then Kishore loan and then Tarun loan. Various three types of loans are covering under Mudra loan. So that in short we will discuss later on. Sisu is one of the Mudra loan. Direct loan from SIDBI, that is also available to MSMEs directly. We can, instead of going to the bank, we can directly go to the SIDBI and take loan funding facility from SIDBI. Equity infusion through fund of funds. So this is a very new concept introduced during this pandemic only. So equity infusion through fund of funds, we will discuss how it works. It is a capital support to the entrepreneur, and equity infusion through venture capital and private equity firms. This option is also available to MSMEs. So these are broadly some of the options available to MSMEs. Maybe some other option is also available, may not be so prominent, so we have not taken for discussion. Friends, this is the very new concept, has been newly introduced during this pandemic situation, during looking into the difficult situation of the economy. Emergency credit line guarantee scheme has been introduced by the government, and who's are eligible? What is the eligibility criteria for availing this emergency credit line? So friends, all business organizations, maybe it is MSME registered or unregistered, even unregistered enterprises are also covered. So all business enterprises whose accounts are combined outstanding from bank or NBFCs are up to 25 crores. Whose combined outstanding is up to 25 crore as on 29th of February. 29th of February, and annual turnover is less than 100 crores. So both the conditions has to be fulfilled. The total exposure, the funding, I mean, the combined outstanding loans should not be more than 25 crore and turnover should not be more than 100 crores. And they are eligible for this type of loan. Only funded exposures are covered. And that too on the balance sheet item, on balance sheet items of bank, on balance sheet items of your company, your organization. So those which are off balance sheet items are not covered. So off balance sheet items or non-fund based exposures are excluded. So maybe you have funded exposure of 25 crores and say this LC or some other facility, BGLC, some other facility you have taken, say another 10 crores. So total exposure is 35 crores, but then still you are eligible because your funded exposure is less than 25 crores, up to 25. All type of organizations, friends, are covered, be it proprietorship, partnership, company, trust, LLP, whatever. So all type of organizations are covered for this type of facility. Loans given under Mudra Yojana, but outstanding as on 29th February and reported on Mudra portal. That is a condition. Reported on Mudra portal are also covered. Loans provided in individual capacity of course, friends, are not covered. So personal loan or loans taken by the promoter in personal name and then maybe reintroduced in the company by way of loan or equity, those are not covered. The scheme is valid for existing customers on the books of member lending institutions. So almost all scheduled banks are member lending institutions, and NBFCs which are registered are member lending institutions. So a scheme is available to all customers on the books who are on the books of member lending institutions. Some cooperative banks are not member lending institutions, so even the customers who are having facility with cooperative banks, they are not eligible for this facility. This is a very big blow to the MSME segment, but it is there. Borrower accounts should be classified as either regular or SMA 0 or SMA 1. So what does this mean? that outstanding, anything outstanding should not be more than 60 days. So if any installment or repayment of payment of interest or anything is due, the due should not be more than 60 days as on 29th of February. Today it may exceed 60 days, but then on 29th of February, it should not be more than, because that is the cutoff date. 29th, everything is being seen from as on 29th of February. So the eligibility criteria and everything comes on 29th of February. The borrower account should be classified as good, regular on 29th of February. Loans, only the primary applicant is covered, co-applicant is not covered, not a big deal in fact. Sorry. Borrower must be GST registered. So GST registration is required. Only thing where the entity is not required to get registration under GST, there it is exempted. If it is required to get registered, then it has to be registered. That's a precondition. So these are the eligibility criteria, friends. So now let us see the other aspects of the loan facility, this facility, emergency credit line. So what is the credit limit? Credit limit is maximum, it is up to 20% of entire fund-based outstanding as on 29th of February, because 29th February is cut-off date. So 20% of the entire fund-based outstanding, you are eligible as emergency credit line. Of course, the maximum limit is 5 crores, because in all cases it cannot exceed to 5 crores. Now, because even the total exposure, total fund-based exposure also has been taken at 25 crores. So 20% of 25 crores. So it is 5 crores. So it cannot exceed more than 5 crores in any way. What are the conditions attached to it? It's a pre-approved loan. So you are not to do much activity for that. It's a pre-approved loan. Only documentation need to be done. You approach your bank, and banks, and even rather banks have been asked to contact their borrowers. They have to inform the borrowers that you are eligible for emergency credit line facility, and you can approach the bank for further processing. Friends, what happens in case of multiple lending? You have taken facility from 4 banks, and all together, all 4 put together should not exceed the criteria we have seen of 25 crores and turnover of course 100 crores. So all borrowing should not be more than 25 crores of all lenders put together. But then supposingly you have 2 or 3 or 4 lenders. So how you are going to take that facility? You can take proportionately from all the borrowers, all the lenders, on the proportion to their lending, 20% of their outstanding as on 29th of February, or else what you can do, or the bank can do, or you can avail the facility from one bank only, but subject to NOC given by the other banks. So you cannot take later on from the other banks, and the other bank's NOC has to be given to the one single bank. Say lead banker is there. So you submit to the NOC from other banks to the lead banker, and lead banker can calculate the eligibility criteria of all banks put together, and they can fund from their own resources, entire funding. No guarantee fee is to be charged, no processing fees to be charged. Disbursement can be at one go or maximum 4 tranches. Interest rates have been capped at 9.25%, but it has been linked with external benchmark link rates. So plus 1%. So whatever external benchmark link rates are there, plus 1%, and banks can offer even less than that. For NBFCs, the maximum rate is 14%, and for banks it is 9.25% is the maximum. Whereas SBI is presently offering something around 7% under this emergency credit line guarantee scheme. So this is up to bank, but then maximum cap is 9.25%. Guarantee, the entire fund is guaranteed by the National Credit Guarantee Trust Company. It's a trust. So and that guarantee has been provided. It's a central government's organization. So say the entire funding is guaranteed by central government. Say otherwise. repayment of the fund, the fund is this emergency fund is available for 4 years. Out of 4 years, 1 year moratorium can be granted for the principal amount. Interest, of course, has to be served even during moratorium period and later on also. And the principal amount, only the principal amount will be repaid in 36 equal installments after the moratorium period, and the interest has to be served as and when it due. Prepayment facilities, friends, is available if prepayment facility is available to with no extra payment. So security, no additional security is to be given. No additional security is required. Whatever security is there in your initial loan and earlier loan, that security will only continue, and the pari passu charge will be levied on that. That will be created. Credit guarantee scheme. This is another scheme has been launched. Credit guarantee scheme for subordinate debt. So that is stressed assets actually. So earlier in the previous loan, that is emergency credit line, that was for good loans outstanding for not more than 60 days. And this loan is made for loans outstanding where the accounts are NPA. But there are certain other conditions are out there. Today the account may be NPA, but then it must have been standard on 31st of March 2018, 2 years back. The account must have been, the MSME entity must have been standard as on 31st of March 18 and has been in regular operations for last 2 years. After 18, it has to be on the regular operations. If the operations are closed or stopped, it is not eligible under this scheme, or the account was not standard even on that date, even on 18, it is not eligible for this facility. After 18, it may have slipped to SMA2 or even NPA as on 30th of April. So the entities can become commercially viable. That is one of the important aspects here, because it is not a pre-approved loan. They will assess, the banks and lending institutions will assess, make the assessment of the entities, and it has to be commercially viable, because if the loan is given, that it must be apparent by seeing that the company can commercially operate, commercially viable operations can be started. So eligible for restructuring as per RBI guidelines, that is available, and fraud and accounts and willful defaulters are not eligible. And what is the credit line? What facility will be given? It will be given to the promoter. It will not be given to the entity or unit or MSME directly. It will be given to the promoter. And what will be given to the promoter is 15% of stake in the promoter in entity in MSME enterprises. So whatever is 15%, what is supposingly 1% has invested 1 crore, so it will be another 15 lakhs. So 15% of promoter's investment will be given. Maximum 75 lakhs. So up to 5 crores of investment in MSME segment, the entities are eligible. Entities are eligible even with the more investment, but then limit the funding limit will be capped at 75 lakhs. Banks are free to decide the interest rate. There is no cap mentioned. Depending on the performance or the conditions of the organization entity, it will be, interest rates will be decided by the banks. And government guarantee is there in 90% of the funding done by under this scheme are guaranteed by the trust, 90%. Here earlier, one thing I want to mention with you people, friends, that in case of emergency credit line, what we have discussed earlier, the government has allocated 3 lakh crores for that emergency credit line. But then what is happening? Government is not giving any fund right now. Banks are giving us as a loan. But then government is there as a guarantor. For all 3 lakh crores, government is standing as a guarantor. If any enterprise is not capable to make the repayment or is failing, then the government will come ahead and the entire funding will be made, entire amount will be made good to the banks. So that is why 3 lakh crore provision also has been made by the government. And here in this case, again, funding has been made, and there are 90% of the funding is available. And tenure of the, what is the tenure is 10 years. This is a long-term fund. 10 years funding is given. So 10-year funding is given, and out of those 10 years, 7 years can be moratorium. Moratorium and on principal, and interest has to be paid from time to time on a periodical basis, from month-on-month basis. Principal shall be repaid. Principal shall be repaid in quarterly installment after the moratorium is over. Interest is to be found, now we have discussed the interest is to be serviced as and when applied. The scheme is valid till 31st of March 21, and 20,000 crores have been allocated under this scheme. Additional working capital facility shall again pari passu with the existing credit facility. And prepayment charges, there is no prepayment charges applicable on this. Collateral free, friends, collateral free automatic loan for MSMEs. This is again a liberalized working capital assessment can be said for that. This is the name given, liberalized working capital assessment. And this works up to 5 crores for an organization. So what is the basis of this? This is not basis of any emergency credit line or that this is existing loan is there, existing fund-based activity is there. And to the existing MSME borrower. It is only to MSME. So existing MSME borrowers are there whose accounts are standard SMA 0 or SMA 1, but not SMA 2. So that doesn't, that's again, not more than 60 days outstanding is there. So there, how it will work, 33% of the revised projected annual turnover for the year 2021 will be calculated, and that will be prepared by the company, and it will be given to the bank. Bank will have their own assessment, and if they find that the figures given by the company, by the borrower are correct, are achievable, are realistic, so based on that, 33% of the revised projected annual turnover will be financed as a liberalized working capital assessment scheme. But maximum cap is 5 crore. And it is for the working capital and on continuous basis. So working capital is there. So, and again, the margin also has been reduced so that the higher drawing power can be made of that. So what is that margin? The margin limit is reduced to 10% on stock and 15% of receivables. And but friend, takeover of facility is not available in this case. Because if supposingly you have facility from Union Bank, now you want to migrate it to Bank of Baroda or some other bank, that facility is not available. It has to be, it can be financed only by the existing banker where my existing loan was there or it is there. Okay, interest rates will be as per the bank's guideline, processing fee, documentation charges, all as per the bank system, it will be charged. SISU loan and street vendors loan, though we will, because of paucity of time, we will not discuss because we have other schemes and other things to discuss more. Friends, this is equity infusion through fund of funds. This is very important because this is a new concept brought in. MSMEs which are rated AAA credit rating. These are only with the credit rating and AAA rating entities, MSMEs. These are available, this facility is available to them. And this is not by way of loan or funding or financing. This is by way of acquiring the shares in MSME. So 15% of the shares shall be acquired in high credit MSMEs. High credit as AAA credit. There is a condition. It is primarily helpful to those entities, those businesses who are in the starting stage, nascent or initial stages of their. Interest rate, since it is not a loan, interest rate is not applicable. Tenure is also not there because it's not a loan facility. But then these MSMEs are expected to be listed on SME exchanges so that later on they can get the exit route. The banks or institutions get an exit route on that. And initial funding has been made by the government of 10,000 crores. And this fund goes on the concept of mother-daughter concept, wherein other funds will also invest into this fund. So this is expected to grow to 50,000 crores. Interest subvention. Friends, this is very important, and we must know to make the thing available to our clients. We must understand how it works. So, but of course, this is for smaller loans. All MSMEs having valid Udyog Aadhaar or Udyam and valid GSTN number wherever applicable. So they are eligible. 2% interest subvention is available to MSMEs on incremental or fresh loan. It is available to both type of organization, be it manufacturing or service organization. Maximum finance is 1 crore only here. So this is of course for the smaller entities. And exporter MSMEs, we will see later on that how exporter MSMEs are also availing. So if any MSMEs availing interest subvention in other way round, in other category or criteria, then that is not eligible here as interest subvention. And this scheme is again valid till 31st of March. Earlier it was 2020. Now it has been extended to 1 more year, 2021. Interest equalization scheme. This is very important, friends, wherein exporters get the benefit of interest, MSME exporters get the benefit of 5% interest equalization on pre and post shipment rupee export credit. So whenever we are exporting, so even pre-export credit also can be taken or post-export credit also be taken, and benefit to export manufacturer is available from the date of financing till the date of export realization or its due date, whichever comes earlier. This is also valid till 31st of March. Earlier it was 20, now it is 21. Trades receivable discount scheme, trades. This is a very, very wonderful and new concept launched recently. And this is very good operating, and this is beneficial to various MSMEs who are taking advantage of this. So how it works, I want to explain it, how it works. So government has launched, it's a platform, Trades is a website platform, wherein it has been launched to improve cash flow of MSMEs. 3 exchanges has been established and they are working on this platform, 3 exchange. So to give credit to the supplier, and only MSMEs which only MSMEs can participate. No other organization can participate. Only MSMEs are eligible to participate as seller in trades. So what happens when I am selling some goods to any company, then I am raising an invoice. So I need to get first registered on Trades platform. My entity, my organization needs to get registered at Trades, and then I need to upload my invoice. I need to upload my invoice that all corporates, government departments, PSU, and other entity can participate as buyer in Trades. So all organizations can, they will also be there as buyer, and we as seller, when I'm selling a goods, and even friends, banks and NBFC are also there as financial institutions, because ultimately they are funding. The funding is being made by bank, but arranged by exchanges, 3 exchanges. So when I'm raising an invoice to my client, I'm uploading that invoice on Trades platform. So, and that invoice is visible to these 3 exchanges. No other organization, no other entity can have view of my invoice. So only presently these 3, maybe later on increased. So presently these 3 exchanges can view my, it will be made available and on their on their portal, it will be visible to them, and they will then bidding that they want to buy, they want to discount my invoice. So if I am supposedly I'm raising an invoice on Adani, so my invoice will be visible to them, and they will see based on my credentials and my buyer's credentials, they will discount and discounting may be less or more depending on that. And all three exchanges will give me the bidding. They will independently. Even the one exchange bidding will not be visible to other. So they will be giving bid to me based on their own assessment, and whichever is more suitable to me, I will accept that. And as soon as I accept, the money will come to my account in a day or two, that it's a processing time. So the money will be credited to my account. So I have a choice to take any of the three exchanges. And on due date, the amount will be debited from the supplier's account, from my account, say. The transaction processed under trades are without recourse. That is also one of the very important factor here, because supposingly my buyer doesn't pay, I have no liability. I have no liability for that, because I cannot be, it's a without recourse. So they cannot come back. These exchanges cannot come back to me and say that you have to make the payment. No, because I have given the invoice to them, and they have assessed based on their assessment system, my credentials and my buyer's credentials, and then only they have discounted. So it's a protection to the MSMEs. And these three exchanges, and they are ultimately taking funds from banks. So to some 3-4 banks are directly involved into that, which are funding. But then banks are not directly funding to us. They are funding through these exchanges. Subsidies and incentives, because MSMEs depends on mostly on subsidies and incentives. Otherwise, it is very difficult for MSMEs to sustain because of the high competition and the unorganized environment. So what are the fiscal incentives? Briefly, we will discuss what are the fiscal incentives are there. Capital subsidy is available in case of purchase of capital goods. 15% capital subsidy is available provided my unit is located in the eligible or eligible locations. So different areas are eligible, and throughout the country, various districts have been notified. So if I am putting a plant in that area, so I am eligible for capital subsidy. 15% of capital subsidy will be coming to me, and that will reduce my cost of acquisition of plant and machinery to that extent. I can have various expenditure incentives as well. That electricity duty rebate, because what happens, that electricity duty is a very high component in the electricity bill, say some 13, 14, 15, 16%. Likewise, it all depends from area to area and from state to state as well. So maybe, say roughly speaking, it comes to 1 rupee per unit, or likewise, maybe even more. So electricity duty rebate, 100% electricity duty rebate, some states are offering in selected areas. Subsidy on credit rating is available whenever an MSME is going for credit rating. The credit rating fee charged by the credit rating agencies are being subsidized, maybe 100% or 50% by depending on certain various other factors. And this is there. Stamp duty and registration in some of the areas. There are various districts throughout the country wherein stamp duty and 100% waiver is also there, or 50% waiver is also there. Reimbursement of ISO certification, whenever to get to encourage MSMEs or entities to go for ISO certification, 100% reimbursement of fees or expenses paid for ISO certification is available to MSMEs, because government wants that. Government is looking forward that all MSMEs should be ISO certified, so that standards and quality and those checks are there. And 50% subsidy on patent registration is available. And one very important subsidy is there, or incentive is there, that is sales link incentive. Earlier it was sales tax refund scheme. So now it is sales GST refund scheme. So how it works, friends? So in some of these states, 100% is there, and most of the states it's a 50%, and it is SGST. We will discuss in the next slide, perhaps. Maharashtra incentive, friends. This is because we are into Maharashtra, so we will discuss more about Maharashtra incentives. So industrial promotion scheme, that is what we were discussing about, that SGST refund scheme. So GST refund scheme is industrial promotion subsidy, say. So 100% gross SGST, whatever SGST, state GST we are paying on our eligible sales. So 100% of that will be refunded to us. So how it will work? So my production has to be in Maharashtra, my sales has to be in Maharashtra, and my delivery also has to be in Maharashtra. Sales means the person, the invoice has to be raised on the entity located in Maharashtra, and even the delivery has to be in Maharashtra. If all three conditions are there, so I am an eligible seller, say. So whatever sales tax or GST, SGST portion I'm paying, I'm making payment to the government, I'm eligible for refund of that. Let us see with an example how it works. Supposingly, I'm making a sale of 1 lakh rupees from the goods manufactured in Maharashtra, and I'm selling to, say, party in Nagpur, Pune, Mumbai, anywhere in Maharashtra, and the delivery is also located in Maharashtra only. So I have eligible sales, and 18% GST is applicable on that product. So out of 18%, 9% is SGST. So that 9% on 1 lakh, I am paying 9,000 as SGST. Okay, but 9,000, 100%, 9,000, I'm not making by way of cash SGST, né? Because what I am paying is after taking credit of input credit. So supposingly input credit on my purchases or expenses or other activities is 7,000, and only the difference of 2,000 I am making payment to the government by way of cash payment. So by making 2,000 cash payment, I am eligible for a refund of 9,000. This is the beauty of this scheme in Maharashtra. But in the rest of the states, it is only on the basis of net GST. So in other states, in the given example, only 2,000 discount or subsidy will be available, whereas in Maharashtra, all 9,000 will be available as discount. Interest subsidy is also available to the entities engaged in, establishing in Maharashtra. 5% interest subsidy per annum is there. 100% stamp duty exemption is there. Of course, district and places you have to locate where it is available. So 100% stamp duty is available. Electricity duty, 100% electricity duty exemption is available for 7 years. Power tariff is also, again, apart from electricity duty, even the power tariff is also, rebate is there. So that subsidy is from 50 paise to 1 rupee per unit for 3 years. And other states, friends, have other different incentive schemes. So we have discussed more about Maharashtra. What are the other schemes available? Because project import scheme. What is project scheme? When we are importing the capital goods, and that capital goods we are implementing or putting into place for manufacture of certain export items. So supposingly I'm importing some items, some machineries, which are to be used for manufacture or production of the goods, which will be exported again later on. So in that case, project import scheme is available, wherein I will not have to make the payment of custom duty. So that custom duty will be reduced, or reduced custom duty will be available to me, and ease of clearance will be there for MSME segments. So based on that, and then we will, whenever my export is taking place, that custom duty liability will be off. But for that, certain conditions are there, that the entity has to be registered with custom authorities, and that project contract registration number, whenever I'm putting a plant or factory, that I need to get registered with the custom authorities, and that number, specific number will be available, project contract registration number, and that number has to be mentioned in the import whenever I'm importing the goods, so in the capital goods, so that it goes through smoothly from the port. Preferential free trade agreement is available with some of the countries, when you say Japan, Korea, Singapore, some of the countries I mentioned, wherein the concessional rate of custom duty is available on import from these countries, and some other countries also may be there. So concession is up to 10% of concession is available. So we can advise, we can advise to our clients to avail these benefits. Export links incentives for the custom benefit for manufacturing of goods. And friends, benefit for in tenders, other benefits are there. No fees are to be paid in tendering process for MSMEs. No earnest money in some of the cases. And price adjustment is also, it's a very, very big factor. Price adjustment is available up to 15%. So L1, L2, whatever, when the tendering is there, government tendering, the lowest bidder is taking the advantage over the others. If lowest bid, if MSME's quote is within 15% of the bracket of the other large organizations, say, so in that, even in that case, MSMEs has the full potential, subject to fulfillment of other conditions, other criteria, they are eligible to get the award. There are some other reforms as well. Vocal for local, that is very good reform. We can say that, because what happens, the earlier, the global tenders for 200 crores will not be launched now, will not be invited. Global tenders will not be invited. Earlier it was 100 crore of limit. Now it has been raised to 200 crores. So up to 200 crores of any tender in the government organizations, it has to be met by the local players only. No global tenders will be. So this is an additional opportunity given to MSMEs. Because of the competition, high competition the MSMEs are facing across the world. E-market linkage. This is very good initiative by the government, wherein, because what happens, the big and large organization can have their advertisement, and they can have their own setup for market capitalization, for market exploration, say, and getting buyers and dealers and suppliers in across the country or even across the globe. But then it is really becomes difficult for MSMEs to establish that type of setup. So to promote that, and to replace the trade fair and exhibitions, because trade fairs and exhibitions are very costly. So, and MSMEs are not very often not able to participate into trade fairs and exhibitions. So e-market linkage, wherein on electronic platform, all the types of buyers and suppliers and middlemen and intermediaries and all, and the government and banks and all will be put together, so that everybody can get benefit out of that, and e-market linkage can be done. Fintech will be used to enhance the transaction-based lending also, because whatever transactions are being held there, those will be visible to the banks, and the direct funding can be arranged for them. MSMEs receivables, this is earlier also it was there, but then now during COVID, government has said that MSMEs receivables will be cleared within 45 days. Interest scheme is there, the compulsory interest on delayed payment, because whenever any delay is there, because to MSMEs, it is the requirement to make the payment within 15 days, but then if the payment is not made up to 45 days, so beyond 45 days, there is a compulsorily interest has to be paid on that. And even friends, nowadays we will see that how it can be launched to MSME Samadhan. It's a portal again made for delayed payment. And one more additional facility has been provided to the MSMEs that recently in ROC, MSME 1, that form has been introduced that every 6 months the companies has to submit, upload on ROC that whatever dues those belongs to MSMEs are remaining unpaid, those has to be disclosed there. So there is a penalty provision if the, dues are there for beyond 45 days. And in case in certain other circumstances when the payment cannot be made, then interest has to be made compulsorily. MSME Samadhan, friends. Any enterprise, so any enterprises having valid Udyog Aadhaar number or this Udyam registration Udyam number can file application under this initiative, and the purchase order of course need to be uploaded. And the invoice also has to invoice and purchase order need to be uploaded. And if purchase order is in oral format, then an affidavit to that extent is required. So when the payment is not made to MSMEs within 45 days, so that time the reference will be made by this MSME Samadhan portal to Small Enterprises Facilitation Council, and it will work on arbitration basis, and an award will be given against the buyer of the goods, against the person who is on the faulty conditions. Okay, and what is the benefit out of that? That a compulsory interest is there that is to be paid because they cannot avoid any interest payment. And moreover, whenever any award is given against the supplier or against the buyer who is not MSME, then he cannot go in appeal without making payment of 75% of the award amount. So this is a very big protection to the MSMEs. Appeal cannot be filed with any court unless the payment of 75% is made or deposited with the court. Because of dispute, it cannot be made to the MSMEs, but it has to be deposited with the court. So very often the dispute settles there itself. Friends, MSME Sambandh, this is a portal wherein all MSMEs are expected to upload their product catalog or services, whatever they provide, so that it is made available to the public platform. So the government organizations or even other organizations also can be there. Government organizations are already there. So whenever they are trying to buy any product or services, they can have the details available on this portal. And based on this information available here, they will select the vendor and they will give the request to them for the bidding purposes. Because bidding is almost required in the government organizations. So they will be invited for submission of bidding. So they got the edge over others. And 25% of government procurement has been reserved for MSMEs. So friends, before we moving to the professional opportunity for which the MSME, today's webinar has been kept, and due to that only we have all seen how we can get the facility availed and we can make our clients availing more and more facilities. So friends, just some inspiring lines are there. Your reach must always exceed your grasp, because if your grasp is whatever is your grasp, whatever you can have, your reach, your trying, there should be more than that. Ultimately, your only competition is yourself, because you are competing with yourself only. You are not competing. We are not competing with anyone. We are competing with ourselves. Whatever today I have done, I have to do more tomorrow, because it's a competition within ourselves. And those who win are those who believe they can. So before winning or before doing anything, you must believe in yourself. So with these words, friends, we are moving ahead. So professional opportunities, we have listed out some of the professional opportunities which are available to chartered accountants. So friends, CAs play a major role, very, very major role in development and promotion of MSME sector. So without CS support and involvement, MSMEs, whatever is today, that would not have been seen, and what growth it is poised for, it is taking, it is not feasible or possible without CA's intervention and major role. How we can involve ourselves? By way of formation of company, partnership, or some other trust or association of person, or whatever way, the structuring or restructuring of the organization. So maybe earlier it is structured as say proprietorship, but then looking into the business criteria or aspects of the profitability, maybe the private limited company is more suitable to them. So you can restructure the organization. So structuring or restructuring of the organization is to be done by chartered accountants. Consultancy, planning, advising on various business activities, which business is suitable to which type of entity we can analyze in a more better way, and we can advise our clients to go ahead with that type of activities. Registration of MSMEs on this portal. So MSME registration is, we can suggest them. And application for subsidy, we can help them in fulfilling application for subsidy, so that 15% or some other subsidies they can avail. Providing loan syndication. So loan syndication, certainly some of us are already doing, but then we can do, some people do more, and loans can be made available to MSMEs, because that is the very, very big concern for the MSMEs. MSMEs are bleeding on the funding aspect only. So providing loan syndication is one of the very key area. Listing of MSMEs. Friends, SME exchange has also been made available. So therein MSMEs are welcome, and with the lesser conditions, lesser capital criteria, listing of MSME is possible on SME exchange. So, and later on they can go on the main board as well. Facilitating MSME for e-market linkage. We have seen that how e-market can be there. So we can facilitate our MSME clients for e-market linkage, helping the MSME in bidding the tenders. So we can help our clients, MSME clients, for bidding in tender. Tax planning and compliance is one of our key aspect, has always been since the formation of this institute. Friends, trademark and brand registration, patent registration, say ISO certification, credit rating. These are the areas where we can advise, we can assist our clients in getting these things, and getting the refund also for that from various authorities. Preparation of detailed project report for putting up the plant, or for expansion, major expansion, or some other things. So GST registration and GST reimbursement is also required for almost every organization. Export promotion scheme. We have seen how export promotion scheme benefit can be taken. So we can provide our facilities or services to our clients. Also, friends, CAs can play a major role in innovative projects like named as MSME Inno, which is a collaboration with German organizations, and develop incubation centers with grant of ₹1 crore will be provided for startups as seed capital. So that also can be, we can help our clients to get to involve, and we can involve into that, and we can help our clients. CAs can play, friends, a very important role in marketing scheme, which will be domestic as well as international. So marketing, how the MSMEs should market their product, or how to reach to the potential customers or clients, so we can advise them. So friends, as we all know that there is a pandemic situation, and in this coronavirus outbreak, and the cash flow of every organization, almost every 100%, we can say that almost every organization's cash flow is bleeding. They are in a very bad shape. So how to stop, how to take care of that? Some approach I have noticed and some of them are there that stop the losses or bleeding. What happens? Some of the, you might have, when good days are there, you expand, you enter into various other ventures, other segments, other activities. But then later on, supposingly one of the activity or two of the activities are giving losses and others are making profit. So you have to take a wise decision there, if possible to stop the loss-making entities or merge them together, or some other way so that you can reduce the losses or stop the losses. Analyze the business, how the business can grow. You have to make analysis thereof, and analyze you. That way you have to take a proper decision. Develop restructuring plan, as we discussed that supposingly the enterprise is so far in proprietorship concern and a high rate of profit is there. So for proprietorship concern, if the profit margin is very high, so in that case, even the tax rate is up to 42% or so. So to reduce that, you can advise your client to come into private limited or even to taking 115 BBA, BAA and BAB, so that even 17%, 15% plus surcharge, those things are applicable to them. So we can advise our clients for restructuring. Or if any, supposingly any expansion, big expansion is taking place. So you can advise, if possible, a new company can be formed wherein the manufacturing activity will attract only 15% of tax along with some surcharge and cess. Implementation of all these things has to be made for the survival of the organization. Moving forward, friends, these are some of the strategies. These are some of the strategies which are beneficial and which have been time tested for financial survival of MSMEs. Review your all non-core activities. Friends, what happens when the company is in a good profit making? That time the owners always, the business head always, what happens, invest some amount in share market or invest some amount in real estate and purchase land or maybe for future expansion or so, and which are not your core activity, or maybe some advances has been made to some other entity or so. So you have to review all your non-core activities and you have to focus only on the core activities. So that, because core activity you cannot stop, you cannot reduce, that is your main bread and butter. So you have to concentrate on core activities, and non-core activities can be stopped and the resources can be liquidated from there, so that that cash flow is available for the core activities and it runs in a proper and smooth way. Short-term resources used for long-term resources. Very often it is said, and maybe a very, very high percentage of are there that the entities are borrowing for working capital, and the plant and machinery are being purchased out of that. Some of the fund is invested for purchase of plant and machinery or for purchase or for long-term assets. So when that situation was good, everything was going smooth, no problem. But then now in this situation, when the cash flow is very tight, it is negative, and so there you have to stop all your this type of activities, and the long-term resources only has to be used for long-term assets, and short-term resources cannot be used for long-term assets. Short-term resources has to be used only for the short-term purposes, so that the cash flow is maintained. Profitability versus cash flow management. Very often it is seen that whenever we are making a deal, a businessman is making a business deal, and he's seeing that supposingly he's getting 2% profit or 4% profit or whatever, and the profit is lucrative to the businessman. But and then he enters into the contract or the arrangement of selling the goods. But the payment terms are very difficult. So payment is not coming from that client in time, and the payment is delayed, and interest is also not being paid by the client on that. So then what happens? Then your profitability goes into the cash flow management because of your tight cash flow condition. you cannot survive. Maybe the profit is there, but then profit is not coming into your hand. So profit has to be there, which comes to your hand. So profitability versus cash flow management has to be seen. Promoters has to revisit their salary, because earlier when the company was making good profit and the directors and the partners, proprietors, they were drawing a huge amount for their personal uses. So now when the profit is not there or it is reduced substantially, so now you have to revisit your own salary as well, because you cannot take that much of salary as directors or partners, and you have to reduce it to give the breathing space to the organization. Realization of receivables. So this is the best way of making the working capital available in the organization, interest-free, cost-free, and even it gives the liquidity for all time to come. And so you must focus on the realization of receivables, that how more and more resources can be, more receivables can be realized at the early stage, because that will give you a relief in interest burden, as well as the clients and the customer also will have the good cycle. So if receivables are realized, so next payment also will come in time. So that the good cycle will come. Understand the rating. So we must, because very often entities, the MSMEs are seeing that rating. This is so good for ye bade logon ka kaam hai, what we do. This is only for the large organizations. We have nothing to do with the rating. But mind friends, higher the rating, lower the interest rate. So rating is very, very important, playing important role even for the smaller MSMEs. So rating should be there, and at the possible way, highest rating should be available to the MSMEs if you are eligible for that, so that you can get reduced interest and higher liquidity from the banks. Higher leveraging, maximum ratio should not be more than 2:1. People used to take more loan because maybe by way of convincing the banker, or by projecting, showing some projections and all, but then that gives pressure. So high leverage always create pressures on the entities, and the leverage ratio should not be more than 2:1. That is my view. Break-even point also, profit and EBITDA and all those things have to be looked into, friends. Without that, it is not possible to manage your cash flow and have the survival benefit during this pandemic and difficult situations. And I am sure, friends, with the type of activities we are doing, we are supporting our client, and the steps we take in this direction, our clients' efforts, our clients' cash flow will be managed in a much better way, and the financial survival will be made available to them. Thank you, friends. Thank you for giving me the opportunity of speaking before you. Friends, before closing, I want to have one quote made by Confucius, and the will to win, the desire to succeed, the urge to reach your full potential. Friends, these are the keys that will unlock the door to personal excellence. Thank you, friends. Thanks a lot for patience hearing.
Thank you, sir. Subhash sir. It was a very nice lecture on this, and you had given a very insight. Ratings counts in all the things, sir. Now rating has been begun. Now GST also had not started the ratings. Once they will start, everybody will file the returns on time.
Can you? I think, can you a little louder, or you can
Okay.
you bring
Hello?
the mic to closer to your?
No. What I'm telling, sir, the rating is very important in each and every field now.
Yes.
GST had not started the rating till date. But once they start the rating, everybody will file the returns on time. So, sir, it was very good lecture. I thanks for taking your time and giving the insight on the lecture. I thank you on behalf of Andheri Ushira Circle and team. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye, sir. We close the meeting. Next meeting is on Sunday. सुभाष जी PPT एक शेयर कर देना.
हाँ, sure. will do.
ग्रुप में
And I will request to share this recording as well.
Sure, you will get the recording, sir.
Ah,
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.